hurt like hell for like the first second. And then it was just like, oh, it just like from that impact, I was like, oh, this really hurts. If you've ever seen a 450 where they do like the flip off the top rope, it's just an extra little half flip. Like, and so he does the 450 and they'll land you like stomach to stomach. The 630, he gets a extra like half spin. So it's back to chest instead of chest to chest. So yeah, I did that for 2 out of the 3 years I was there. And I was not good.
Let's make a turn in our conversation because we've not paid homage to the place where you are the expert and you are the most passionate. And I want to turn to pro wrestling because it's...
Yeah, if you think I'm passionate about horror movies, I mean...
Let's get to pro wrestling, man.
Sure.
I'd love to know about... where do we even start? Where do you want to start with pro wrestling? We've got about 15 or 20 minutes to go. I just want to go deep into pro wrestling for a while. So where might we begin?
I grew up watching it since like 85. So, I mean, you're talking almost 39 years of me watching it.
Okay.
There's a lot to cover.
85. That's WrestleMania 1. That's Hulk Hogan in the cage gets... No, wait.
That was
Hulk
2.
Hulk Hogan and the Sheik.
No,
WrestleMania
that was
1.
84. No, Hulk Hogan and the Sheik was 84 when he won the title.
Yes.
Hogan and Bundy in the cage, WrestleMania 2.
Yes.
That's when they did 3 cities in one day. It was New York, Chicago, and LA.
Yes.
And every single match on that... By the way, WrestleMania 2 is not good. There's not a good match on that card.
I remember seeing the fake gun go into the cage and shoot King Kong Bundy to give him maybe some blood or something. There's a little gun down there. If you look in the footage, I'm pretty sure they were aiming it at his face. I need to watch that again because I don't remember that. It looks like it's just it looks like an Apple Pencil, but it's black, and you can see it sticking into the cage. And right about that time, Bundy's down there, and you can see that I think it was his face that was the first part to get bloodied in that cage match with Hogan. I know Hogan's very, very bad at hiding the fact that he's cutting himself. Just in general, he's not very good at it. Yes. But WrestleMania 1 was Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper, yep. Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful, yep. That's the first match I ever saw was Paul Orndorff wrestling somebody. It was between WrestleMania 2 and 3. That's when I started. That must have been 86-ish that I started watching wrestling when I was 9. And I was hooked, man. I was hooked. I remember the first pay-per-view I ever watched live. Yes. It was Royal Rumble 92. Ah, okay. I watched it on pay-per-view. That was the one Ric Flair won. He came in at number 3 and won the whole thing. It's actually to this day considered one of the best Royal Rumble matches ever. Just off the names, you had Flair and Hogan and Piper. You had Sid Justice. You had The Undertaker. You had $1 Million Man. Oh God, I'm just doing this off the top of my head. Like it basically, like you had everybody in this, and this is the one where Ric Flair came in at 3 and won the whole thing. Yes, I believe that you actually were a professional wrestler, or you started a career as a wrestler. What did that look like when you were in this? As I trained. I would never consider myself an actual wrestler. I trained in it. Yeah. I moved to New York literally with a $20 bill in my back pocket. Okay. I was homeless within a month and a half. Okay. Literally, I lived in a homeless shelter for out of 3 years. I spent a year and a half in a homeless shelter. Wow. Still training, by the way. That's a whole other thing. Wow. I trained at shout out to House of Glory in New York City. Literally, it's like one of the biggest promotions in New York City right now. Okay. Like basically, they're getting Matt Riddle at their next show. I don't know if you're following. Like AJ Francis is going to be on the show. Okay. Their next show coming up. Matter of fact, if you guys watch AEW, Private Party came from that school. Okay. Like I know those guys personally. Like the reason I broke my finger by accident because we were just goofing around one time before training. We're just horsing around. Everybody hadn't shown up yet. And I was in there with one of the guys from Private Party, and he kicked me, and my hand got in the way, and I ended up fracturing and dislocating my finger. Jeez. Freak accident. It was nobody's fault, but it's just, yeah. Matter of fact, one of them, I was in the first, he did a run-in after a match I did, so I actually took the first ever, and I have a picture of it on Facebook, the first 630 splash he ever did, like in a wrestling ring, like an actual wrestling ring. Yeah. I'm the one that took it. I have the picture to prove it. I took his first ever 630. What's a 630 splash? Or what's it like to be the recipient of a 630 splash? Honestly, it hurt like hell for like the first
second. And then it was just like, oh, it just like, from that impact, I was like, oh, this really hurts.
What is it?
And then
what's the move?
It's like if you've ever seen a 450 where they do like the flip off the top rope.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's just an extra little half flip, like, and so he does the 450 and they'll land you like stomach to stomach. The 630 he gets a extra like half spin, so it's back to chest instead of chest to chest.
Wow.
Yeah, I took his first ever one, by the way. I have picture proof.
Oh man.
So I did that for 2 out of the 3 years I was there, and I was not good. I honestly, if I look back on it, if I would have stayed as a manager, I probably would have been fine.
Yes. Okay.
Because I had a whole thing, like I was the only match I never wrestled. Well, no, I have one match. It was from a pre-show, but it's on YouTube. I did a couple battle royals because, students always do battle royals because that's what you do.
Okay.
I did one match for them. It was a pre-show. It was a six-man tag. I think it was 6-man.
Okay.
No, it was 8. It was an 8-man tag. And I was supposed to do some moves. The guy that was supposed to give me the move screwed it up. I landed how I was supposed to, but the guy doing the move, because, effed it up. So a guy that I was teaming with, who I didn't like in real life, but it's just like, we got to, fake it, tagged me with a blind tag, so I got to do none of the stuff I was planning because he thought I messed it up. Because he wanted to look good. Tagged me in on a blind tag, and I was like, I got a chance to do absolutely zero. Yeah. And I did one these were all in New York City. Matter of fact, they were either at the school or next door to the school. It was an indoor handball court next door.
Okay.
Because I was in Queens. I got to do one show in Connecticut. It was for an organization. They're no longer around. They were known as New England Frontier Wrestling. They're no longer around. Did a show in Connecticut because my trainers were there, and we got to come in to do like a showcase match. It was a tag match, and I was one of the managers.
Okay.
And we're going through, and they had how small wrestling is. I did a match, I did the match, and there was a women's match there.
Okay.
And one of the wrestlers, who, by the way, sweet and just as friendly as could be, went as Mercedes KV in the Independents. Nicest person in the world. Within 6 months to a year after I met her at this, she got signed to WWE and later became known as Sasha Banks.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Couldn't have been nicer, by the way. She couldn't have been a nicer person. And, she, like I said, she's Mercedes Moné in AEW and all over the world right now doing huge stuff. She was in The Mandalorian. She's doing all kinds of huge stuff now.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been nicer.
Super cool.
Yeah. So it's one of those things like we were talking about before the show. It's like, I don't know how I get in these situations. They just happen.